The place where you live can be a very comfortable, enjoyable place, or it can be a place of great anxiety and uncertainty. The place where you work can be a good place, but it can also be a place which is unfriendly and even boring. The place where you hope to find friendship can suddenly become unfriendly and unconfirming. The place around us in this city, the place in the world can be a place of great inspiration, but it can be a place of violence and fear. So it was with great delight to read that when the Queen of Sheba heard about the astonishing achievements of King Solomon, she came with an open, expectant mind. No fear, no jealousy, no resentment. And she came loaded with gifts, ready to celebrate what another human being had done and was doing. It is a strong example for any time and any place, but especially at the time of Christmas, and a place that could be every place. She didn't put it off, you'll notice. She said, I must go. I must be in that place and recognize it for what it is. Often we're in our various places and we don't realize that this is an important place. In this centenary year of the poet Dylan Thomas's birth, I read his lines again with delight and appreciation, as he reminded me of times now past and places he once knew, and some of us would also know them. Now, as I was young and easy under the apple boughs, and as I was green and carefree, famous among the barns, about the happy yard and singing as the farm was home, in the sun that was young once only, time let me play and be golden in the mercy of his means. And green and golden, I was huntsman and herdsman. The calves sang to my horn, the foxes on the hills barked clear and cold, and the Sabbath rang slowly in the pebbles of the holy streams. He was recalling a time, and he was also repainting a place that he knew and valued. Years ago, when I was in London, on the 50th anniversary of his birth, I heard his daughter read that poem. It was a beautiful occasion. I was there. It is the gift planted in the human mind and memory that we revisit and remember those valued occasions of the past. Once I was speaking to a surgeon and I recalled words from one of the Psalms. We were talking about the fact that one of his colleagues had died, and I paused and reflected on one of the Psalms. The wind passes over it and it is gone, and the place thereof shall know it no more. And my man rang me later in the day and he said, where will I find those words? Because I want to use them in the speech that I'm to give for my colleague's farewell. We're very much affected by our places and the good and bad memories that go with those places. The places of our childhood, the places of our school days, the places of wartime, the places where we holidayed, the places of loneliness and illness and our places of dying. We all have our places. We all have our places of horror, as well as our good places. I've just taken a long time to read Orlando Fige's book, which is called Just Send Me Word. It's a heartfelt, true story of love and survival in terrible circumstances in the Russian Gulag in Siberia. Hopefully now a place buried in the past. Yet in the Stalin era in Russia, thousands of people spent years in those gulags in Siberia, some dying there. The book about which I speak is the story of one man's love for the woman of his student years. He is in Siberia, living out the dreadful days in that place, but held together by the letters of a woman he loved and the lines of a poem. You and I are like high mountains, and we cannot come closer. Just send me word at midnight, sometimes through the stars. Just send me word. In recent days, there's been a lot of talk around Richard Flanagan's Man Booker Prize, his novel on a similar theme, The Narrow Road to the Deep North. The wartime hardship and suffering of a different prisoner of war camp, not far removed from the film that we probably all saw of Alec Guinness in Bridge on the River Kwai. The men who returned would say, I was there. Ian Baruma, in his review of Flanagan's book, pointed again and again to the part the place has in our memory, in our identity, in our strength of spirit, in our moral resilience and growth. Whether we speak of the River Kwai or the war in Tobruk or wherever, the retrieval of bodies from the World Trade Center in New York, or the bushfires in New South Wales of a year or so ago, or way back to the deadliest nightclub fire ever known in America taking place in Boston. There are people in any and all of those places who would say, I was there. For many, the place became important because of the comradeship that came to the fore, because it gave them a memory that became impacted into their identity for the rest of their lives. Because at the time and for a time afterwards, it gave many a sense of being alive. And long after the wars or the events, they would say, I was there. But then sometimes they lost the sense of the event. And so Ian Baruma wrote, for a man who has experienced the traumas of combat, it can be rather a jolt to struggle around in a supermarket shopping for groceries. It is not only the past battles. All of us, any one of us, may find that the high moments we can somehow embrace because of the place. Of course, the place can become empty and it can be fed with discontent. But the place can also be a place that if we paused, we might say, yes, I was there. And at the time, it was a place of great value to us. So we enter our different places. And going into our different places, we might simply just go there because it's a matter of going there. But we might also be in search of a life that matters, in search of friendships that we hope will survive, in search of something that gives some reason to speak about the places of our past. We carry from our different places the memory, the experiences, perhaps the trauma and the tales, And we say, if someone will listen, I was there. My Scottish university regularly sends out its journal of people and places. Where are they now? In a different place. And as I read the pages of such faraway places and of people scattered in those places around the world, I look at the journal and I said, yes, we were all there. I was there. They are places of the past, but some of those places made such an impact on our life, that they opened us to a vastly larger world of growth, of identity, of maturity, of gratitude, of appreciation, all of that, good feelings. Of course, all of that can be left behind, and in the dusty pages of forgotten records, there they are, and the place thereof shall know them no more. The places we once knew, of course, can be forgotten places of no further interest. And in their forgotten state, they do little to enrich our present or our future places. And so it is with our churches. Some people look back at their experiences of significant places in the past, and they say, yes, I was there. Sometimes they value it, and sometimes they say, I was there, but I never wish to revisit ever again, and so on. Others find some places carry such discontent that they prefer to move away from that place. Years of engagement may become a time of prolonged resentment. Places of a happy connection can become places of prolonged disconnection. But for all that, the place changes us if you're open to it. As the Queen of Sheba went to see what she was about to see, she was open to this new experience as she entered a different place. The place can give a new take on life, can lift us to breathe in a different view of ourselves and of the world. Places can have the power to change us. And again, the church can be such a place. But it can also be like an old mooring down on the beach, the seafront. The moorings get used only once or twice now, and we pass on to other moorings. And we dream of other places. Of course we do. The tourist industry survives and expands by the dream that they can place in people's minds, dreaming of the places that they haven't yet visited, or the places that they might visit again. They keep the dream and the illusions alive. Many revisit those places. Many old people want to go back over old photographic albums, or they now have their iPads and they keep turning and I was there. In Istanbul, I was there. I was there. Where was I? I was in Madras, Kathmandu. I was there. Kyoto, Tanzania, some of you. I was there. Was a time I sat for some hours with Dr. Philip Law as he described the astonishing sights and scenes of the South Pole. And then he said, I was there. And then we might be astonished by Flanagan's book, his description of the prisoner of war doctor who said, it's only our faith in the illusions that makes life possible. Illusions offer some kind of an escape from pain, a fantasy of the possible, ways to rise out of our enclosed life. Our illusions help us to build a dream of places you've never been and perhaps will never go to. But because of your dream, you might be able to say, oh yeah, I was there in my dreams. We live simultaneously, you see, in many places. The world we call reality, the world of our dreams, the world of our conscious mind and the world of our unconscious mind, the world now and the world that is always waiting for us, the world that is empty and the world that could be so full. the place, our place. So readily we miss the place, we discard the place, we diminish the significance of the place, and yet we could make the place so different, so better, so more enhancing for ourselves and for others. A place has a life. And with its life, there are the questions that flood in about the place. Not far from where I live, there was a place, a home, probably 70 years old, and surrounded by a really beautiful garden. But then one night I drove past that place, that home, and it was totally gone. In one day, the house, the garden had been removed, and all there was a wire fence around the plot. I didn't know the people. I never met the people who lived there, or the people who lived there before they lived there. Not one of them. We didn't know each other, and yet it was their place. It was very clear that that place, that was once their place, had now gone, and there was no place. And they would return perhaps one day and say, "The place thereof shall know it no more." And my mind flitted off to a place called Deniliquin in New South Wales. I was there some time ago to give some lectures on ageing. And one day, while I was waiting for the time to present myself at the place for the lectures, I went and sat beside the wide, sweeping waters of the Edward River. There had been heavy rains, and so the river was in full flow. And coming down the river with the leaves and branches, there was one large dead fox. And I wondered, where had that fox come from? What life had that fox had? What could it have told us about its various places? But no sooner was it in front of me, and it had passed. Like us. Like us. Of course, I hardly compare us with the dead fox. But the question it provoked are our questions. Where have we come from? What place? And many of you have come from so many different places, but now you're in this place. At this time, we are being carried along by the flow of the river, our river. Upstream, back there, did we enrich the place where we lived? We can be sure of this. The river is carrying us on. We have the illusion sometimes of being fixed in our one place. But the flow of the river, the flow is a reality. And as the river sweeps on, we are part of that passing reality. What difference will we make to the passing as we pass by from place to place? Today, our council members of this church will go into conference talking about this place, a church building, a community of people, a reason for being. From time to time, I run across people out there, sometimes in distant places, and I tell them where the place that I come from, and they say, "Oh, I was there once." Some say it with appreciation. Some would prefer not to say it because they don't want me to know they were there, in case I say, "Why aren't you still there?" So the challenge falls to us in the passing flow. How can we do something significant? How can we be something significant? What can we receive from this place that will be significant? And what will we give to this place? Not only the building, but this community, this ethos of St. Michael's. So that at some future time, some people might say, as we say the name of St. Michael's, we'll be able to respond with appreciation and gratitude. Yes, I was there. I was there. So our places can be places, of course, of horror and pain, or places of where we forged our identity and where we found our resilience. Our places can be places that disappear, or they can be places that give real depth to who we are and what we will become. Our places can be places of searching for what matters, searching for friendship that matters, searching for what gives meaning to our existence. Our place can be a place, of course, it can be a place that we forget, and we will forget it, and we will be forgotten. But for all that, our places, while we're passing by on the river, can be places that change us, places that keep our dreaming of other places. Our place can be the passing experience, or it can be the place of asking the questions. Thomas Gray once wrote in his visit to the cemetery, I've said it before, his poem, perhaps in this neglected spot is laid some heart, once pregnant with celestial fire, hands that the rod of empire might have swayed, or wakened to ecstasy the living lyre. But too many die with their music undiscovered and unexpressed. Our places can be gone, and only afterwards, long afterwards, we discover that it was an important place. Did we miss it? This is our time. And in many ways, wherever we are, either here or in there and there, wherever you come from, that's your place. The psychoanalyst Ellen Wheelis wrote, so briefly do we raise our heads, so quick sink back. For a moment we are lifted by a wave of time, are tossed up into the sunlight of consciousness. We cannot see so far as where this wave began, but maybe we have waited some 1,000 years for it to come, and now it is on us. This is our moment. The wave is breaking. The crest which passes through us now in tumult was shaped by the past. And we in this moment are able to shape the crest which is to come. Would you please stand? And I invite you to say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And the blessing. May the God you see in all the colours of creation arouse in you a sense of awe and wonder. May the God who is a sacred presence be real to you. May the God who is a source of inspiration and courage keep calling you forwards. May your God go with you and bless you today and always.